Well, hello there. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Quarter Podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim DeLace here with me. Tim, how are you doing?
Haven't recovered yet. I haven't recovered from yesterday. I personally I'm okay, but I can't deny that I'm a bit down
Yeah, well, it was
from
supposed to
yesterday's
be Victory
performance.
Monday, but nobody told them the Proteas women. And yeah, I've gone through I've gone through moods. Last night I was very angry. I was livid, and we'll go through that in the podcast. But remember, we are South Africa's cricket podcast, the South African cricket podcast that covers all things South African cricket. And you will see with today's show, we'll cover Proteas women, we'll cover Proteas men. We'll also talk about the domestic game and see about that, and give you the results around that. And I commented on the Hollywood's Pro 20 the other day. The great thing about sponsorship is that it helps. It helps because people are supporting, and so you can support us by following us on X, subscribing to the Full Quarter Podcast on YouTube, and liking and everything else, because these stats are what we use to try and get sponsors, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out a way to get ourselves, paying. We've been using all our money trying to do this the whole time, and now we're thinking maybe we can bring it out to the world because our product is pretty good. And one of the key things you can do to support us is you can help buy some coffee at buymecoffee.com /Full Quarter Podcast. It's a fascinating website. Please just go. Any amount. Well, yes, any contribution is appreciated because it helps us move this forward and helps us continue this. If you want us to go every day, we can do that. If you want us to follow games and do it a daily podcast, it's things like this that will help us be able to manage our lives and be able to manage and provide more content for you. Like, for instance, I'm going to do a day one review today of the Proteas test match, right? If you wanted a day two and a day three, maybe put that in the comments and also throw in some coffee. It's things like that. But look, we do this for the love of the game alone, and so we appreciate any contributions in that. And as we were saying, it's not Victory Monday, but my word, last week was amazing. The Proteas women took us on a roller coaster ride. That semi-final against Australia, Tim, I've never seen them play like that. And it was so cool because we had Enoch's interview. And if you want to listen to Enoch's interview, YouTube or Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you'll listen to him and he'll download everything about this team and what he wants for women's cricket, and the fact that they're on the right track, and that the semi-final performance was them exceeding expectations. And then they went on to exceed even more. And that's the problem I have about this team, because now I'm going to beat them with the stick, Tim, that they showed us against Australia, because you were near perfect against Australia. And then a couple of days later, I thought, yeah, it was a perfect game. There's a potential for a letdown spot, and I didn't want to play the West Indies for a couple of reasons, Tim. Was they've been to the World Cup final before and have won it. So they have an understanding of what this moment means, and they've done it recently, and that. And the second one, they wanted revenge. And the other thing is they're going to get revenge against a South African team that wasn't going to be perfect. And you don't need to be perfect to beat the West Indies, but you need to be better than beating New Zealand, because New Zealand doesn't require you to be. You just need to be good to beat New Zealand. And yesterday bothered me a lot, because we will beat New Zealand 70% of the time. 7 out of 10 times we'll beat New Zealand. But yesterday, the drop in emotions and everything in fielding first kind of fell into New Zealand's lap, who were playing their World Cup final. They were playing the team that they were underdogs to, and they knew they needed to be up for it to play. And from a coaching perspective, it's easier to get a team that's an underdog to play above their level. Case in point, Thursday in the afternoon and evening, we were underdogs, and damn, Dylan Dupree got those ladies to play at a level that I'd never seen them before. But against New Zealand, we don't need to be playing at that level. But somehow we couldn't get our energy levels up for this big game. And it kind of felt like the World Cup final was on Thursday, and this was just some bilateral game that if we play okay-ish, we'd make it. But even okay-ish wasn't enough because, I was problematic. Tim, I'm going to say this last time before I go to you. In a World Cup final, if you win the toss, because South Africa's been to 3 World Cup finals in recent times. We lost the toss against Australia last year. We lost the toss against India this year. And we both chased, and it was horrible. Now, Laura's standing there at the toss, and she's like, no, we're good at chasing. Let's chase. It's different. When will South Africans understand that finals are different? World Cup finals are even more different. What you've done before, yes, helped you get there. But for you to win that game, that formula you did before may not be enough. And for me, that was the issue with yesterday, was you gave New Zealand an advantage where, if you watch the West Indies game on Friday, they put up 134 and they managed to get West Indies bowled up for 129. And so I'm sitting there going, why do you want to put them into bat first? They struggle with batting. Now let them bat with the thoughts of, I'm not winning the World Cup. You gave, like Laura gave all our batters that extra pressure of, if I make a mistake, it's a World Cup final. Oh no, I can't make a mistake. I need to be in scoreboard pressure. I don't care if the pitch is green and was watered the day before. I do not care. In a World Cup final, if you win the toss, runs on the board matter more than anything. And it's like a 10 to 15 run premium for batting first. So that 159 was effectively 170. And we batted like we were trying to chase 170. And for me, that final was lost there. What do you think, Tim? How did Sunday go for you?
Yeah, look, I get your points, but I think I see it slightly differently. But I'll get into that at the end. Listen, Laura said it at the press conference after the match. She said there was a feeling this was our time. Their family members told us it was our time. There was a feeling within that team after getting over Australia that it was our time, and I think that played into them. I think subconsciously that played into their minds that, you know what, we've done the hard bit. We've beaten the world champions. The hard bit is over. We can now take our foot off the pedal. We can now just relax a little bit. That's what we saw. That is what we saw in those opening power play overs when we were bowling. We saw a New Zealand team that went on the attack, took risks. They charged Mawazan. They charged. Nobody in this World Cup has charged Mawazan like that. Nobody. Not any of the teams. They were absolutely determined. Even when they lost Plummer early on, they kept on pushing us harder and harder. And for those first 6 overs, South Africa didn't have an answer. And from that moment, we were always behind the 8 ball. And when we've done the hard bit is over, it's very, very hard to then go, girls, we need to be at 80%. We don't need to be at 100%, but we need to be at 80. When you're down at 50, it's very, very difficult to get yourself back up again against a team that were fired up. They played easily their best game of the World Cup, New Zealand. Their tactics were on point, absolutely outstanding. The way they manipulated us, even when we got wickets, they made sure that it wasn't a club for wickets. That was crucial for them. They made sure that there was not a club for wickets. So they always had somebody there to stabilize the innings. That was absolutely crucial. So it's devastating. Once it was 158, it was over for me. It was over. it was going to need a Laura special. That's what it was going to be. Anything other than that, we were not gonna win. So,
and to a certain extent, in that second innings, Laura gave us hope as we kept on going. The power play was good. You were like, okay, we're there. Tasman, towards the back end of the tournament, has fallen away a bit. And then that over 7-10 after the power play, New Zealand. Ooh.
But again, the difference between the two teams there, when we brought it back from over 6-10 as well, and with our bowlers. We took the pace of the ball, we brought it back. But what they did was they still rotated the strike. They still looked for twos. And our fielding was dreadful in this match. Absolutely. It was really below par. So there were several twos that they got that should never have been twos in the first place. We seem to be going, because it's eights already, 8s and 9s and over, we need to go in the air. We didn't need to do that. What we needed was Chloe and Sydney to come in at the end to hit. But when they came in too early, it was too much for them. We don't need, you can't have Chloe needing 60, 70, 80, 90. That's what you don't want her in. And that was a huge problem. The fact that we got that good start, but we didn't then say, okay, let's just consolidate. But we must keep rotation at the strike. And once striker hold came on, once Amelia Kerr got the striker hold on us, there was no answer. And with a total like that, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, and that's and to a certain extent they took a gamble. They thought they could, hold New Zealand because New Zealand throughout this tournament weren't great with the bat. They only became great with the bat towards even in the West Indies game. You sat there going, this team will struggle to put 140 on the table.
Well, and I think they lost 10 games in a row before this World Cup. So they were not exactly going into this World Cup with any sort of form.
Yes, and to a certain extent, it goes back to my point when I say this. Psychologically, this team should have batted first to ease them into the World Cup, to get the nerves off. But there were no nerves, right? So they were playing in a situation where they were numb, where they were like, we're trying to go through the motions because we're supposed to arrive and collect this trophy. Had we put up 130, maybe 135, everyone else would have been like, oh no, we're gonna lose this. But with our bowlers, everyone would have given us a similar, that Australia effort was perfect, but you would have given us 75% of that Australia effort with the ball. And I'd rather be in that situation than be in a situation where we are trying to chase to try and bat our way out of it. Because I think psychologically, right, in this second innings of a World Cup final, it's 2 of you in the middle versus 11 people. The 11, if mistakes happen, you pick guys up, you move them through, that type of stuff. Be like, no, it's not over. Let's keep going. Whereas it's the 2 of you, if mistakes happen, you walk off. Someone else comes in. It's very lonely to win a World Cup. And we saw that with our men's team in that World Cup final. When you're in a winning position and one wicket changes the entire course of a final, because it just adds unnecessary pressure. And to a certain extent, had we, and it was in our hands, won the toss first, I would have batted first. I'd added Laura, and because the thing is, even if you like, oh, what is it, 3 down for 30, the plan then is get to over 20, give yourself a chance, right? And then you already know you're on the back foot, so you're heightened. Whereas with the bowling effort, it was 159. It's New Zealand. We can still get it. And for me, that kind of played in, because then all of a sudden when we started losing wickets and the run rate started slowing down, panic set in. And when panic sets in, the batting team sometimes will struggle, especially when you're losing wickets, and so yeah, I'm just disappointed because if the thing I think is this, our power plays were similar. Now put us in a batting first position if our power plays are similar. New Zealand are panicking. New Zealand are going, how do we arrest this? We need wickets. We need to be aggressive with the bowling. And that's when you can pick them off. Whereas on the other side, New Zealand were like, we've got 160 runs to play with. Even if we concede a few boundaries, it's still 160 in a World Cup final. We don't need to panic. The only time they need to panic is if it goes to over 15 and we're at 120. That's when they panic. So it's but like, look,
I just want to touch on one thing. I know we're gonna talk about other things, but one thing I think also played a huge part is those massive wins against the West Indies and Scotland. As good as they were, we did not see Chloe, Sune, or Nadine get any runs in this tournament. If they got runs in those games, it would have given them the confidence to get runs at the final. And Tim, that was hugely missing.
And Tim, with that, the final was horrible. It breaks my heart. It was horrible. But the way this team played in the tournament was unbelievable. The fact that we didn't need runs from Sune, Chloe, Anari, Nadine, and we needed them in the final, and we even need them against Australia, tells me how well this team played in this tournament. It was
true,
unbelievable. The way they got through the West Indies, the way they took apart Scotland. Bangladesh was it was like watching last night, but they managed to get through. And then obviously England, they did lose, and that is what we expected. And then we got to the semi-final, and they gave us a performance that we will talk about for years. The only problem about it, in history, they'll never talk about it. We will talk about it, South Africa, but at the end of the day, we don't win the World Cup.
Yeah,
they'll talk about New Zealand's incredible win over the West Indies and the incredible win over South Africa, but this win against Australia is just for us, and I'm okay with that because it's set up seeds, as Enoch said, to give the ladies a belief that they can do this and they can go into World Cups as favorites, and you then need to play as favorites. And now teams are going to be afraid of you because you did something many teams struggle to do, and that's beat Australia. So it's not all doom and gloom, Tim. It's been a great tournament.
No.
And I think I think gives us the right time to talk about the players, right? I think for me, let's have a look at the batting stats, and then we'll talk about the bowling stats. The batting stats up. I'm really sorry for our audio listeners, but I'll read them out. These are South Africa, the Proteas Women batting stats at the World Cup. The number one batter in the world in the tournament, Laura Wolfart, with 223 runs and a strike rate of 113, an average of 44, which is important. Tasman Brits, her opening partner, 187 runs, the number 2 run scorer at the World Cup. Strike rate of 103.88, which I think dropped with her her performances in the latter part of the tournament, but that's something we're going to be discussing as well. Annika Bosch, 137 runs, the star of that semi-final, and also the person who holds the record for the most runs scored in an innings, 74 not out, against Australia at a strike rate of 109. Annery Dirksen, 31 runs. She didn't do much, as we were talking, at a strike rate of 129. Marazan Cup, 90 runs at a strike rate of 145. If she retires, we are in a world of trouble. Sune Lees, 27 runs. Chloe Tryon, 33 runs in 5 innings, and Sune only got those 27 runs in 3 innings. So there are a lot of people we need to be worried about. Nadine de Klerk, 2 innings, 7 runs. Sinala Jafta only batted once in the final. Bonga Kaka once in the final, and Nonkuleko Mlaba once in the final. If you look at these stats and you're a selector, you're Enoch, you're happy with the top 3. You're happy with Cup's performance, but the other batters, they didn't get opportunities. And so that's something that you should walk away happy with, Tim, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can have any issues here in terms of the performances. I think outside of, we've talked a lot about the final, but I just think the top three, and we found Dirksen. Dirksen is a real find from this World Cup. I think that it ticks a lot of boxes for the future. It's just unfortunate that we didn't see Nadine and Sunaip in particular contribute with the bat. But as we said, that was because we were so impressive up top in the way we went about things.
I think the big worry was Chloe's form, and yeah, she couldn't shake it off. So that's the only unfortunate thing about. That's the only negative thing. If someone were to rank Chloe or rate her, it wouldn't be a great rating. Nonetheless, let's look at the bowling before we move on. For the for the audio listeners, Nonkululeko Mlaba was the number 2 wicket taker in the tournament. She took 12 wickets at an average of 11, a strike rate of 12. That's a wicket every 12 balls. That's insane. Every 2 overs she takes a wicket. Unbelievable. Henri Dirksen took 2 wickets at an average of 13, strike rate of 9. I'm just not happy she didn't get to bowl a lot. She batted too low, and this was my issue with Henri Dirksen. She bats too low. She doesn't bowl. Why is she there? I like her. I think we could use her more, but it felt like in the tournament she just she
should be battling with Sune losers at the moment. That's if we're honest, that's where she should be batting.
Yeah, and then Marizanne Cup 5 wickets, average of 20, strike rate of 26. Nadine de Klerk, what is this? 4 wickets at an average of 28 and strike rate of 25. Aya Bongakaka, 4 wickets at an average of 33. And then Chloe Tryon took 3 wickets and Sunelus took 1 wicket. Economy rates, Mlaba 5.66. She was the second best. Marizanne 4.63, which, as Tim was talking about in the final, was a shock when she started getting taken out and attacked by the New Zealanders. And then all the other bowlers hang around between 6 and 7, with the exception of Henri Dirksen, who was at 8.66. When you look at this, again, largely happy for Mlaba. Your seamers, you didn't expect them to take a lot of wickets, but they shared them across. Again, I'm not mad at this. But it's one of the things where you look at Aya. It's not her best bowling performance, but she kept the economy rate tight. Nadine as well, and we just need another frontline seamer who's gonna try and take wickets up front and take wickets in clumps to ease the burden off of Mlaba. But for this tournament, I think the bowling effort was A+. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think the Ayabanka's figures were inflated because of what happened at the final. She went for 11 and over in the final. So, take away that final performance, I think her figures are a lot better than that. So I actually think she had a decent tournament. What I would say, I'm a little bit, I don't want it to retire. Don't say that. I don't want it to retire. But if we are going to see other teams charge Marizanne like that, if we're going to see India, Australia, and England, when England come out just in a few weeks, if they're going to charge Marizanne, I'm then going to start having a conversation to Marizanne, because I think she would be better being batting higher up, with her contributions with the bat would be better than her contributions with the ball.
Yes.
And that would be my discussion with her. She would bowl less, bat higher up, but then it gets to this point where we need not just one replacement. We don't need to replace Shipman Ismail. We then need to replace Marizanne Cup. And that, as we have been saying for several weeks now, is a big issue, because there are not candidates that are putting their
There
hands up at
was
that slump.
a 19-year-old, 18-year-old lady this weekend in the Hollywood Bets Pro 50 and Pro 20 series. Her name is Faye Cowling. She hit 82 or 59 on Saturday in the Pro 50 when the Lions were in trouble. And then she took 4 wickets. Fast bowler, gets a little ball to seam in a little bit. The wrist falls away at times, but there's something to work at. And with her growth, she can, it's the batting that I was like, oh, okay, so you can do that. In the T20, the next day, she got out for a duck. It was a weird ball, but anyway. But with her bowling, took a 3-4 for the Lions. I was truly impressed. And it's quite quick. It's not like Marizan and Shubnam levels, but she bowled better than Shubnam yesterday. Well, for the start, and then Shubnam showed us why she's the best in the world. And yeah. So there's something coming that I think, you can add to the ether, right? The Lions also had a little pretty nifty left armor, but she can't bat. But there's a lot that's happening, Tim, in this Hollywood Bets, and I think people should go and watch because I was supremely impressed by the control that Faye had and her ability to crank it up when it's needed. And but I agree with you with Marizan, but I'm not worried about Marizan. The pitches are not assisting. The ball's not moving around. Here in South Africa, the ball's going to do this a little bit and attack Marizan at your peril. I dare you to attack, actually, right? And this whole intent thing also speaks to the spot and the thing. New Zealand were attacking us in a World Cup final. Our girls were not living up to it. That intensity in the field against Australia wasn't there. So you also look at what the bowler was doing and what the bowler was. She wasn't like they weren't at the races, and that's my point of that World Cup final. Is you are bowling. All 11 of you are feeding off of the same energy, right? We don't need to be up there. Against Australia. Everybody was holding each other accountable. On Sunday, they weren't holding each other accountable. And that's for them to deal with in the team environment. My frustration as a fan was, I can see it. I can't hold you accountable. I'm talking about it now. And you disrespected a moment and we lost an opportunity. But I understand why. Because to get yourself back up after the highs of Thursday is impossible. But it's hard. It's not impossible. But somehow it was. Look, Tim, I was going to do a rating, but I think let's leave it at this.
I think so.
I'm going to name the South Africans or the ICC team of the tournament. You'll know who the South Africans are. Those South Africans who are in that team, A+. Everyone else, B+, A. Yeah. And then, we'll just leave it at that and you've seen the stats. We've spoken about the stats. But the ICC Women's T20 World Cup team of the tournament for 2024. The captain of the team, Laura Wolfert, top of the order. Tasman Brits, number 2. Danny Wyatt-Hodge of England. Amelia Kerr from New Zealand, who I think Amelia Kerr was player of the year of the tournament. Harmanpreet Kaur of India. Deandra Dotton of the West Indies. Nigar Sultana of Bangladesh as the wicketkeeper. Afi Fletcher, really, really great player there. Rosemary Mayer of New Zealand. Megan Schutt of Australia. And Nonkululeko Mlaba. And all I'm going to say is this team has Laura and Tasman in it, but Lefty was the best player in the tournament for South Africa. Hands down, without a doubt. She was heads and shoulders above everybody in managing her skill, in controlling her skill, and from a bowling perspective and a left arm spin perspective under pressure, it was her. She's the girl. And Lefty, congratulations. Unbelievable tournament. The rest of them, and the things that this team needs to work on, Tim, strike rates. Learning how to rotate the strike, getting rid of dot balls. What gets you in trouble is dot balls. If you're getting ones and twos, you're always in the game. And to a certain extent, that's what Coach Enoch was talking about, this new brand of cricket that they're trying to play. It will come in phases. And that's what made them successful against Australia. They just didn't let the train stop. They just always were looking for something. Yes, they were scoring boundaries, but also they were looking to rotate the strike because they knew that the moment the tap runs dry, Australia was going to take the heart out of their throats. And New Zealand did that on Sunday, and that's horrible. Any final words, Tim, about this tournament?
No, I just want to sort of say what you say. My criticism was on the final. My criticism was not on the tournament. That's what my immediate criticism was. It was a fantastic tournament. They played really well. They actually surprised me because at the start of the tournament, if you said to me they're going to make the final, I was a little bit unsure. If I'm perfectly honest, I thought a South African New Zealand final was not likely. Let's put it that way. So 2 finals in 18 months. That is something. That really is something to be proud of. But of course, there is disappointment. At Laura to touch on it, just on the one bad performance of the World Cup happened to come in the final. But as you said, there's lots of positives.
Yes, lots of positives. Moving on to something that's positive. We've got Test cricket on a Monday. Most beautiful day in the week. And we have Test cricket, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. The Proteas men are playing in Bangladesh effectively now every Test match for South Africa is a must-win. We don't accept draws. We don't accept losses. And so, today, toss goes up. Bangladesh decides to bat first. We then have a look at the team sheets. My word. My word. So, we can talk about the team sheet alone. 7 batters. Vian Mulder batting at 8. And also the opening bowler for the Proteas, because we went with 2 seamers and 2 spinners. Bangladesh went with 1 seamer, by the way, and 3 spinners. So maybe that's where, Coach Shukri is doing that. 7 batters. And then we proceed to bowl Bangladesh out for 106 on a pitch that batting last is going to be so hard. And the way our batters are batting right now, so we bowled Bangladesh out for 106. Currently, South Africa at stumps on day 1, 144.6. Currently at the crease, guys who resume tomorrow is Vian Mulder and Kyle Verreynne. South Africa have a lead of 34 runs. Tim, what did you make of today in the Test match today?
Bangladesh didn't turn up for 2 sessions. I don't know. I know there's lots been going on. So obviously, we did discuss in our preview the Shakib Al-Hassan effect, not having him available. Sacking the coach 2 days before the Test match. So Phil Simmons has been there literally for, I think, 48 hours. So that's obviously not going to be conducive to positive vibes for them. But I get the impression it's kind of what they used to. But I really thought they were very, very poor for 2 sessions. I thought that their batting was terrible. And when I saw the pitch, I thought, okay, well, they made 100. We're going to struggle to make 150 on this. I really thought we would. And who knows, maybe we'll lose
4 wickets for 10 runs.
Who knows, maybe. I thought they bowled really poorly for the first half an hour. I really thought they bowled very, very poorly. But we certainly assisted them. I would say we are the happier. I think that partnership towards the end between Verreynne and Mulder was crucial because I think it's 1 wicket away from the tail. I really do. Yeah. I don't think West on that pitch with that amount of turn that we saw is going to make many runs. That partnership is absolutely vital. I think in the lead over 50 is good. It was a strange day. Not what I expected. I expected conditions wise, but I didn't expect both teams to be batting on the day. Very interesting day's cricket there.
Yeah, I didn't expect 16 wickets to fall on day one, but the moment I think Vian got movement and Kagiso got movement up front, I was like, okay, this is an interesting one. And then when Keshav bowled his first ball, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, we are in so much trouble. And Keshav bowled in like over 10. And it was like, okay, that's what this test match is. It's going to require a lot of grit. It's going to require a lot of focus. And I think for me, the South African batters did not cover themselves in glory at all. I think the only one who did was Tony Dzorzi. He was very watchful. He was quite reactive, but he worked with it, right? He wasn't premeditating anything. He was watching the ball turn and he was playing accordingly. Because Taijul Islam and Mehdi Hassan Miraz did everything really, really well. After those 30 minutes, when we had a bit of a partnership between Tony and Tristan, and I thought Tristan played well. I thought the wicket he got was a very good one. But everyone else, I kind of felt like we like to clump South African wickets against spinners. I know the spinner was better, but Matthew Bretsky's wicket was just a dereliction of duty. I know it's his debut, and I know this is not South Africa and this is not the South African spinners, but fundamentally, especially with Mehdi Hassan Miraz, is cover that off stump, right? Regardless of what happens, yes, you see the ball go away, but when it like you can't, I can't forgive you for that off stump one. I really can't, right? Everyone else was David Bedingham came out playing with hard hands, and I'm like, what is this man doing? That bothered me a lot. Rick's tried again. It's like we didn't plan or prepare for any of this.
What I don't like, and I said it a couple of weeks ago. It's been there since we played Murali. Our go-to is to play back. Now there will be exceptions where that is advisable. Of course there will. I'm not saying you must never play back, but this insistence that you must always play back. You look at those dismissals today. I'm pretty sure that all 6 were playing back in the way that they're in their dismissals.
Well, Aiden got bowled middle stump, which is a travesty in all of them.
Yeah.
It was like I saw that. I was like, what the hell are you thinking, Aiden? Like, I don't understand how you are bowled top of middle, first over of a test match. Are you an opener? Are you not? Can you tell us if you're not an opener so we can move you somewhere else? Because that was just like, I was like, my tweet was, Aiden, with like a whole lot of, because I was baffled. What are you playing for? If you're playing for an in-swinging ball, middle stump is open. If you're playing for an out-swinging ball, why are you standing on middle instead of trying to cover off? The ball's not even bouncing low. It was just weird. Outside of that, all the other wickets fell to spin. There was one. Who got bowled? Oh, it was just Matthew Bretsky. Everyone else got caught. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Everyone else that was playing, they were okay. So you're right. Rickleton played well until he got out. Tristan Stubbs played well until he decided to play
back to a ball that he was supposed to play forward to.
Yeah, it was far too full. It was far too full. Tony, as you say, played the best of the lot, but again was out.
But he too was very back for dominant as well. He wasn't coming forward.
No, none of that team was coming forward in any facet. And I thought, particularly when they were not bowling well, I mean, they bowled well, particularly in after tea, they bowled superbly. But when they were not bowling well, there needed to be some kind of transfer of pressure. Okay, you bowled you out for 100, we're going to make 250. If they make 250, it's game over. It's finished. Test match is over as far as I'm concerned, unless we have a storm of some kind. But it just played into the Bangladesh hands. even when they were bowling poorly, at no point did South Africa go, you know what? I'm actually going to hit that bad ball for 4. That bad ball there, that's a half volley. I'm going to hit it for 4. No, I'm going to play back to it because I need to get back and across, get behind it. It left me very, very frustrated until, as I say, that last partnership. That last partnership, both of them, although they didn't play forward enough for me, there at least was a positive approach. There was a positive rotation of strike. There was a right and left hand combination, making sure that there were runs that were scored because they know that they need to get as many runs as possible. Not right left hand. Sorry, they're both right handers. Apologies.
No,
but
yes.
the positive. I like the positive approach between Carl and Vian. That was absolutely crucial.
And to a certain extent, it works for Carl, because I was thinking about it. I was sitting there going, Carl's lack of orthodox technique doesn't actually allow him to play back a lot. If you think about it, right? He's always very handsy, and he's always willing to, use that. He doesn't use his feet to move anywhere. Yes, they're stuck in the toilet, but at least he's trying to get to the pitch of the ball as much as he can because he's got no. And so it was like, maybe that could work. And so far, it seemingly works. And obviously, whatever runs we get from Vian at this point in time, because to a certain extent today, on the full court report on the 21st of October, I declare Vian a frontline bowler. I declare him. He's not an all-rounder. He's a frontline bowler. He's a frontline pacer. He goes into the same arguments when we talk about Marco and Gerald. We must ask why they didn't pick Vian. That's where we are today. He's not an all-rounder anymore. Don't come to me and be like, whatever runs we get with the bat, we get. We're not going to rely on them. Shukri's told us we're not relying on Vian's runs by batting him at 8. That's what the coach told us today with that team sheet. Vian's not an all-rounder anymore, guys. Stop calling him an all-rounder. But we need those runs, Vian. We really do. We need
those runs. Batting fourth in this pitch is going to be very interesting.
Well, that's why we have Vian at 8 to give us 20 runs, 25. If you get your average, you're 25 there. Yeah, it'll get us to 50. But I think this is a test match for a guy like Kyle, who will always be, and his nature is to be forward. So, like, I look at it going, yeah, he's gonna get out, but he's gonna be the one. He's gonna be the last man standing, and I think that's what's gonna happen. And Kyle's looked like he battled with a little bit of responsibility today towards the back end there. So, yeah, Tim, what do you think is gonna happen on the rest of the days?
I don't know what to expect from Bangladesh at their second innings. I really don't know where their headspace is with what I've just told you about Shakib and the loss of a coach. It depends where their headspace is. I think they could score runs. I think they can still win this test match. I think if they roll us over for 165-ish, I think they could still win this test match. I really do. But if this partnership goes and makes 50, 60, 70 together, then I think it's going to be very, very hard for them to get out of it. It's still, I don't know what to expect from them. That's the problem. It's similar when you play Pakistan, particularly in Pakistan. Don't know what you're going to get from them. I don't know what I'm going to get from them when we bowl again.
Yeah,
I don't expect it to be as much movement, for example, for Vian and KG. So I expect it to be flatter. So we'll see.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice of pitch, but yeah, I don't. And the other thing was like, why we bat? But I'm sad. I assume Bangladesh doesn't want to bat last because they know that there'll be landmines and grenades and wickets are going to fall in clumps. But it was just interesting that this is the strip they rolled out for their team that struggles with batting but very good with bowling. But then they're playing up against another team who are slightly better at them at batting. I would have rather. But if you flatten it, it takes them out the game. So I kind of understand where they were going with it. It's just fascinating that they rolled something like this out for a team for their team to be bowled out for 106.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted this much seam movement. Spin, yes. Seam movement, no.
Yeah. No, I get you. Okay, cool. Let's wrap up the show with a couple with just discussions, right? T20 knockout, Tim, do you have an update for us there? The final between the Eastern Storm and the ACDC Tuskers, the KZN Inland Tuskers. Obviously was moved to today because of the lightning and thunder and rain yesterday. What's the answer there?
So, just to recap, it was stopped yesterday because of the rain. So they got like 2/3 of the game in yesterday, and they just continued from yesterday's score. So it wasn't a start from scratch kind of thing. The Tuskers, so the Eastern Storm, just to remind you, they made 129 for 9. The Tuskers bowled really, really well. The Tuskers today got there, and they got there at a canter. They got 130 for 3. So they won by 7 wickets. They won the CSA T20 KO Championship. Just to put Cameron Shackleton, their top order batsman, didn't have a great tournament, but in the semi-final, he made 50, and at the final, he made 50. So talking about runs when it matters, earlier in our podcast, he went and he made runs when it absolutely matters. So Tuskers going from not having a pitch for a part of the last season, or not having to play away from home at home games last season, they've gone on to win the T20 competition.
Yeah, and it makes that promotion battle very interesting, even though they won the knockout challenge. They finished second on the log to the Eastern Storm, and I'm showing the Division 2 table. The ACDC Tuskers finished second, so they'll get 10 points. The Storm get 15. The Garden Route Badgers finished third, so they get, I think it's, 7 points. Northern Cape Heat finishing fourth, getting 5 points. And then the Impalas getting 3 points, and the Rhinos getting 1 point, with the Nyati getting nothing, finishing lost in this tournament. So it's going to be quite interesting to see in the other formats, Tim, how the Tuskers and the Storm play out. Obviously, now you've got the One-Day Cup coming, the 4-day series, and then the One-Day Cup next year in 2025. So it's about collecting points as you go along, and both the Tuskers and the Storm have started the season really, really well, and that's how it ended. In the CSA T20 Challenge, we had the final round of fixtures this weekend. It's a single round tournament. Last year was a double round because of the World Cup in preparation for the World Cup. This is a single round tournament this year, so everyone plays 7 matches, and that's it. So with this week is now the finals week. So Western Province closed out their tournament with 2 wins. They beat the Lions on Wednesday, and they went on to beat the Knights on Saturday, or they beat them by 6 wickets. Daniel Smith scoring 57 runs for them. Deon Forrester for the Knights scoring 39. But Bjorn Hendricks and Wesley Beja getting 2 for 28 and 2 for 34 each to help them effectively get themselves into the semi-finals. The Lions were top of the log at the start of the week. They beat the Dragons, who were in 170 for 3, beat the Dragons by 5 runs in a tight affair. Ludwig Schultz held Lions fans in all sorts with a 60 for 51, but Connor Estes in 62 not out of 39, and Rassie van der Dissen 59 of 38 helped them put up that 170, and Gwena Mampaka 2 for 28 is the best of the bowlers to help the Lions win their final game of the season. And that one also pushed the Dragons into the eliminator, and we'll talk about all of that on what happens this week. The Titans, in a Duckworth Lewis affected match, scored 174 for 4 in 16 overs, and they beat the Warriors by 179 for 6. Beat the Warriors, who scored 179 for 6 by 6 wickets. Jordan Hanman scoring 101 of 60, but that was outclassed by Rivaldo Munsami 73 of 39 and Dan Khalim's 55 of 34. Jabir Shamsi taking 2 for 23 in that game for another tough loss for the Warriors. And then finally, the Gold Rush Boland beating the Dolphins by 4 runs in a Duckworth Lewis game. The game was reduced to 10 overs, and the Dolphins fell short by 4 runs. Sean van Berg scoring a 50, Keith Dudgeon scoring 36 not out of 28 in the first innings, and Bryce Parsons 34 of 16 wasn't enough, as Aikamani took 2 for 11 and 1 over to help Boerland get over the line by get over the line. So I'm just going to put up the log, and then we'll talk about the team. So the final log ends as this. The Lions are first with 22 points. The Titans in second with 21 points. The Dragons in third. Western Province in fourth. Boerland in fifth. Dapperbit Warriors in sixth. The Knights and the Dolphins at the bottom. The Dolphins finished bottom of the log with 8 points along with the Knights. So the Dolphins get 0 points from the CSA T20 Challenge, and the Knights get only 1. And the Warriors get 3. So with Boerland getting 5, Boerland may think they may have enough, but we shall see in the other tournaments. But if you look at the Dragons get I think was it 8 points or something like that for the promotion, for the relegation thing. So one thing I can tell you about Northwest, Tim, is they know that this tournament is the tournament that keeps them up, and they've managed to bag a whole lot of points in this tournament. A little bit worrying for some of our well-known teams, the Dolphins and the Warriors, who we don't think will be in relegation, but the Knights being down there adds a little bit of drama because Boerland now have quite a few points, and so it's going to be quite interesting. But what did you make of the final weekend of the T20 Challenge?
So just the two things for me. The Province's win over the Lions was the one that actually got them to the semi-finals, or the knockout stages. It didn't mathematically, but in reality it is, because we were always going to beat the Knights at home, barring a miracle. That was always going to be happening. So beating the Lions at the Lions was absolutely huge early in the week for them. The other thing is to note from that Northwest game against the Lions, very frustrating as a non-Lions fan. Very, very frustrating. Because at the last over, they had Isaacs facing. They needed 11 of the last over. And the first ball, there was a definite 2. And they probably wouldn't have made 3. But Isaacs would have been run out. And Janssen would have faced. Janssen had something like 24 or 14. And then he was smashing all over the field. Janssen turned down the third. And Isaacs faced the entire over. And Isaacs, to be fair to him, is not a hitter. That's what cost them in that particular game. Now, it doesn't cost them in terms of the knockout stages, but it did cost them in terms of a home knockout fixture. So that was huge. Those are the two big ones for me that you take away from those particular fixtures. Would you like me to give you the fixtures for tomorrow and Wednesday?
Yes, no, I've got them here. Don't worry.
Okay. Right.
The fixtures for the semi-finals and the finals week is that the new format is no longer 2 semi-finals. It's now a qualifying eliminated format. Thank you, SA20. Thank you, IPL. So the Lions play the Titans first up as 1 and 2. The winner of that goes straight into the final on Sunday. The loser of that will go to the qualifier 2 on Friday, waiting for the winner of the eliminator, which is the Dragons and Western Province, right? And so you're going to have eliminated Dragons and Western Province on Wednesday in Poch, and then on Friday, whoever the highest ranked team is, or either at the Wanderers or Supersport Park, will have the second qualifier with the winner of the eliminator, and then the winner of qualifier 1 tomorrow and the winner of qualifier 2 on Friday will play in the final on Sunday at the home of the highest ranked team that finished highest on because the other thing is, if let's say the Lions lose qualifier 1 but they still make it to the final will be at the Wanderers. So
yeah,
that's the
just to recap for those of you who are not watching this. Tuesday is qualifier 1, Wednesday is eliminator, Friday is qualifier 2, and Sunday is the final.
Yeah. And with that, that's all the cricket we have for you today. Well done to the Proteas women. Good luck to the Proteas men, and good luck to the CSA T20 Challenge teams that are playing in the finals week this week. And yeah, I think that's it from myself and Tim. Have a great week. We'll be back. Remember, please do follow us on Twitter, on X. Please do like and subscribe on YouTube, and also please do buy us some coffee at buymecoffee.com/full quota podcast. I'm just trying to get that up there. Outside of that, from myself and Tim, have a great week. And yeah, like and subscribe so you know when we come on next. Outside of that, have a good week, and it's goodbye and lesale kakahiso.